Hi, it's Cal. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for all your comments and questions and emails. They are very thought-provoking, and it reminds me of many things that have happened to me during this whole humongous process. And I want to talk to you about two things tonight. One is about um, why we see goddesses holding a head or male bodies holding a head in ancient um, uh, literature. And also, I want to talk about my story a little bit of how the whole thing evolved because it's everything is a process. It's not like you just wake up one day and you feel like this. There's a huge thought process that goes along that brings you to a kind of a fulcrum of an idea or a desire. And if we really look at our lives, we will see that we are not driving the ship. We are not having these visualizations. In fact, I remember distinctly, oof, 25 years ago, maybe more, sitting somewhere, like in my backyard, and before me flashed an image. I was thinking, gee, what would make me happy? What do I want to do? Like, what's out there? What appeals to me? And I had this whole image of being in this kitchen and looking outside and being in Italy. I was wearing these clothes, and then um, about 5 years ago, I was standing in that kitchen wearing those clothes and looking out that window, and I went, wow. I didn't even come to the idea that I had wanted that. The whole image had been presented to me, and then I found myself in it later on. Now, the same thing happened um, when before I became pregnant with my daughter. I didn't want to have children. I thought, nah, I want to find out what's out there in the world. I'm not interested in having kids. And then when I was about 27, I was with my significant other, and my significant other had said to me, um, it'd be really neat if we had children. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. Like, there is not a chance ever that I'm going to do that. I'm sorry, no. And then I went to bed that night and I had this dream. And in this dream, I saw what was my daughter uh, at about 7.5 years old. And I woke up and I started kind of laughing with my son. I said, oh my, we were talking about that. And I had this crazy dream, unbelievable. Well, a few days later, I decided to, yes, okay, let's have a baby. And then I think I got pregnant the following day. And then about 8.5 years later, I was standing in my living room. I was a single mom, and I looked up from what I was reading at my daughter. She was getting ready for school, and it was the exact image I had seen in the dream. The hair, the clothes, the look on her face, the way she was standing, everything absolutely the same. So, needless to say, if we have no desires, we are taken down this path where we are presented with things that will make us happy, even if we think they won't. And because nobody knows us better than this great force. And when you're just receptive and you go with the flow, things start to happen. And when we let our mind get in there and begin to control, that's when things start to go sideways. You know, the panicking, the fear, things start to go sideways. When I look back on the last 25 years, raising my daughter and all the fears I had, none of them came to be, not even close. Um, and there were other fears that I did not know were so present in me that did come to be. So, not to say there weren't any dramatic challenges, because I'll tell you, massive challenges all the time. But it just shows that there is a path. There is a path. And when you look, you might want to sit back and look at your life and see what you actually desired and what that felt like. Because sometimes we reach our desires and we go, that kind of felt, tasted like sawdust, you know. And then sometimes we have other things that are presented to us and we go with them, and they're challenging, but they're invigorating and they're fulfilling. So it's interesting. I'm not saying that everything is this way. I'm saying that it can be this way. And I know it's a very singular way to look at life, because life is really multifaceted. But I just wanted to present this to you, because when you go with the flow, oh my gosh, the world opens up to you. And when you think you're going to a job that's going to be your death, it ends up to be a rebirth and to something fabulous if you can get through that threshold moment. Okay. The other thing I want to talk to you about was the mother. Now, I followed my inclination. One day I actually just woke up. I painted the house probably 5 times, and I mean from head to toe, 20-foot ceilings on extendable ladders, painting the house. And I had my neighbor come over, who was an art teacher, and she said, Kelly, please take these paints and take these paintbrushes, because you are a frustrated artist and you don't even know it. And thus started my art career 25 years ago. Okay, so I started painting and I didn't know what to paint. I was sitting there kind of going, well, what do I paint? I mean, completely not knowing what to paint. And then I just sort of started scribbling around with the paintbrush and, you know, a couple stabs here, and thought, maybe I'll paint this. No, I don't like it. Maybe I'll paint this. No, I don't like it. No, maybe I'll paint this. No, I don't like it. And it wasn't the mind saying I don't like the painting. It was actually the feeling, when I look deeper at it, saying this doesn't feel right. So then I started painting large naked women with no heads. And I mean, that's a bit bizarre for, I don't know, maybe a heterosexual woman. And I'm not trying to label. I'm just saying, hey, I'm plain Jane going through these motions, and I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just doing. But I had to stop there. And I spent 25 years painting large naked women with no heads and no clothes. Well, naked, I guess, no clothes, right? And I did not have a clue about why I was doing it, but I knew it felt good to do it. And it wasn't like pretty women. It was a rough, raw kind of woman who was strong but deeply compassionate. I mean, deeply compassionate. And she had no head. Now, every time I tried to put a head on her, I felt terrible. And I had to take the head off. And then I felt better again. And I could not understand why I was painting these women without heads for close to 20 years until someone told me. Now, in the beginning, it started with another art teacher approached me, a mother of a friend of my daughter's, and she said, "Have you ever read Maria Gimbutas?" And I said, "No." And so I went and I got Language of the Goddess, Maria Gimbutas, and I knew immediately that's exactly what was going on. I was painting the goddess. But still, there was no heads on my goddess. And it was only recently, in the last couple years, the last few years, that I realized what was going on. And that the head has been cut off by her. She has no head. She has no ego. She is pure compassion. She has compassion for everybody, the most gruesome killers, the most gentlest maidens. There is no difference. It is deep compassionate to both. She is within all things, and she grants all things to everybody. She doesn't discrepancize. And her head is cut off because she has no ego. She has stripped her ego bare. And so when you see these pictures of the heads being cut off, that means they are relinquishing their ego. When you relinquish the ego, that's when life begins, and that's when everything else dies out. I mean, the ego is such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful dance. It's beautiful to look at. The clothing, the hair, the camaraderie, the the whole peacocking of it is fantastic. But there is nothing greater than grand humility and with great compassion. And there really is. And these people that have that, we don't see them, but yet they're the ones that are, doing the great services to mankind in the tiniest ways all around the globe. And not to say that we all have renditions of this. We all have this in our lives, and I'm sure most of you are super compassionate. For me, it was really a path to learn, and I mean, talk about being so ignorant when I was young, and the progression has just been staggering every step of the way. And truly, it is just ignorance that separates one from the other, and differences when it comes to having compassion and not having compassion. And the more you learn, the more you understand the depths of what maybe the other individuals have gone through, or what this individual is suffering from, or this animal, or this ant, or whatever it is. You build your emotional intelligence, and it's in the state of deep compassion, deep love, that we come to know things without being told. It just comes into us, and we know it. It's given to our mind, and our mind has to break it down, because it all, this true intelligence is delivered to us through feeling. And the linear mind is trying so hard all the time to understand it. The mind is the child. So I wanted to share that with you. And it might sound, some of you might go, well, we all knew that. Well, I didn't know that. It took me a long time to know that. That was, part of the path. But it's in the doing of things that the intelligence comes. Like, you don't even have to know what you're going to do. You just get out there and you start doing, and things just start happening for you. Paintings come on the canvas, and you just paint. Every time I paint a painting for someone, they want some certain thing, and I have to say, I'm sorry, I can only paint because I can only paint what comes through, what I feel like, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, so you don't have to buy it if you don't want it. But, we do things for the feeling, and certainly if you're an artist, you do things for the feeling. So I guess, where am I really going in this video? I just wanted to get on and share a little bit about you, where the path had started with me and how it just sort of meandered and trickled throughout my life. Not that I'm at the end of it. I mean, I think at this stage in my life, even though I'm older, I'm really just waking up to it, you know? And it's being in that little stream and trying to stay in the stream and not get lodged on a rock or lodged on land, and trying to go with the flow. I mean, for me, going with the flow through my life has been such a challenge. I mean, I think that's the reason why I went into meditation in the beginning. I mean, I was given so much. Everywhere I went, people, just wanted to give me stuff. And I was like, no, I don't want that job or that. I'm, on this path trying to find out who I am. And then I'll have to tell you, after transcendence, boy, that really threw me for a loop more than anything. With transcendence, you think I would come out knowing exactly who I am and what everything is about. No, I was confused more than ever. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why have I been having all sorts of out of body experiences since I was 4 years old? I mean, more questions, because, and I think some people might say, oh, you're really trapped in your head, and that could be true for sure. Because when you look at life, to know the self is really vital, really vital. And when you look at life, it's so hard to, how do you say, label one thing from the next. And so getting into the stream and staying in the stream and trying not to label is challenging. But that is when life begins. And I know many of you are saying, well, with all these conditions surrounding me, there's just no way I can. Trust me, I've been there. And then I started dying to the conditions, and not necessarily post Kundalini. I mean, it's taken me a while to learn to die to the conditions and just hold my focus in either what I think would be good for me or interesting or fun, or trying to hold my focus away from the negative thoughts and trying to just be present with the good and just see what happens when you're in the stream. Okay, I think this was a bit of a rant or just a ramble here. I really hope you got something out of that video, and thanks for being here, and have a fantastic day wherever you are.